Good morning. It is 20 minutes after 8 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning, Chaves County Manager Bill Williams back with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
So far, so good. It's early, though.
Is there plenty of time to change?
Yes. No, I expect it to be a great day.
Absolutely. Well, the weather's nice. Things are happening.
It's Friday. Everybody's in a great mood.
Yeah. Nothing to complain about today.
Right. It's great.
Yeah. So, good deal. And it sounds like you guys didn't have any real earth-shattering stuff happening yesterday.
No, we didn't have any earth-shattering events at the county commission meeting. We just
Business as usual.
Took care of business and nothing real exciting.
Which is great.
It's absolutely great.
We need some boring months.
Just managing things the way they need to be managed is nice to have that once in a while.
Absolutely.
With no scary stuff.
Absolutely. Real quick before we talk about the meeting and everything, obviously last week yourself and the sheriff we were talking about the illegal dumping and things going on.
Right.
What kind of a week later? I know that's not much time to do it, but I mean, are you seeing people starting to get the message about this, or is it still just bad, or is it still getting where people aren't utilizing the proper places and everything?
Everything's cyclical, I guess. Sometimes it's worse and sometimes it's better. Right now, I think things are on a better level.
Good.
One of the things that the Chaves County Road Department has done, they're not quite finished with it, but one of our collection sites at Midway tends to be just overwhelmed with trash on the ground.
It's a hot spot.
And we accept part of the blame for the problems that are at the dump sites. It's not all people that just throw their trash down and could care less. There is some of that, absolutely.
Sure.
But, we have two compactors at each site. One compactor is open, one compactor is closed, so that when that one's full, the staff just comes and changes the electrical connection, and then you have a second one.
Okay.
Sometimes people don't realize that, and that's on us. I mean, we have two there, and people are kind of expecting two of them to be working.
Gotcha.
So, and then sometimes one will fail, or you have an electrical failure or something. That's probably a little more rare, but it does happen from time to time. But the problem is, once one person throws their trash on the ground, everyone else just assumes that it's not working or whatever,
or just follow suit.
Or I'm not going to move their trash to get to the door or whatever, and so they follow suit. But in Midway, which has been one of our most problematic sites, there's a lot of people from all around bring trash to there. It's usually a pretty big deal on every Monday morning for them to send a crew out there to clean everything up and get it back up and running.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've done at that site's the first, and we'll be doing it at the other sites, where there used to be two compactors, one operational, one not operational. There will now be two operational compactors, so you can put your trash in either one.
Gotcha.
And that's a change that we've decided we need to make.
Okay.
If it's there, it needs to be usable.
Gotcha.
And we're also going to change our signage. We have a huge sign there that says, you can do this, this, and this, but you cannot do this, 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 and this. It's a huge sign, and it's like a book. You'd have to stand there and look
it's
at
like,
it
let me
and
study
read for 5 minutes. And it also faces it. It's not in a position where you can see it as you're parked at the compactors.
Mm-hmm.
It's more as you're driving onto the site.
After the fact, almost.
So we're going to change a lot of signage and put smaller signs. Just one message on a sign that says, "No household garbage only."
Sure.
No dead animals.
Right.
No sofas. That kind of thing. But by rearranging the sites and reestablishing how we're doing them. For instance, Midway then will have 3 slots. 2 compactors will be there all the time, but it gives us the opportunity, maybe quarterly or something, to take an open top out there and ask people, hang on to those big items, the sofas and stuff that some people throw on the side of the road, but also a lot of people at least bring them to the collection sites, but they won't fit in a compactor and shouldn't do that. So we're thinking, well, it would be a lot easier if quarterly or something, we don't know the exact time.
Throw them into a roll-off or something.
Yeah, we put an open top container there, and you can bring those bigger items and dump them in there. But for the other 3 or 4 months, just hang on to it, wait, and bring your household trash. And we're trying to make sure that...
Kind of do like a spring cleanup event or something to have it, or something along those lines. Yeah.
Or maybe you get to be at a different site each, month.
Like the traveling
maybe at this
dumpster
site.
thing.
Yeah. So that everybody gets the benefit, and we're not overwhelmed by all of the compactor sites having an open top at the same time. So anyway, we're working out details, but we're starting to actually see some of that come to fruition there at the Midway site.
Good deal.
By having, like I say, every compactor there will actually be operational. They got the concrete slab poured. They got the fence moved. They're working on the electrical, but I don't think they've quite got 100% done there,
Sure.
but
Well,
soon.
well, I
So that
imagine-
helps.
But they're probably dealing with the COVID world like everything else.
Right.
And so there's going to be delays in
Yep.
materials and things needed to complete
Right.
projects, just like everybody else is dealing with.
And we've had a staff member out there handing out flyers, letting everybody know these are the things that are acceptable. This is what's going on here. Just visiting with people and letting them know that,
And expand the education of it.
yeah, that we're taking care of it. And like with government, a lot of times things move slow. I mean, we have to go through certain
Everything's glacial.
procedures to buy things, and it's not just like making a phone call and I'll be there on Tuesday. I mean, we have to make sure the money's there. We have to make sure we give everyone adequate opportunity to get the job. Can't
Sure.
just give it to your neighbor.
Exactly. Well, and that's, this is what we talk about when we talk about state politics and things like
Right.
that. You hear about these nepotism type things,
Right.
and this is to prevent those kind of
And
things.
this is local government.
Yeah.
Everybody that's here lives in this community, and
Yeah.
we want to all be able to hold our head up when we see you at the grocery store and be proud of where we work
Absolutely.
and not hiding something. Whereas,
Yeah.
those bigger the organization or bigger the government is, it's easier for you to fall between the cracks. Here we answer to people, so we make sure we do things right.
Yeah, but the sooner the folks understand that government in general is glacial, it's just because of the transparency, because of the levels of things. Even the fastest government on the planet, if they're doing it right, is still going to be glacial.
Right.
And you just have to understand that. And it's for the benefit of everyone at the end of the day.
And I have so much respect for, in particular, our procurement officers. I mean, it's very black and white. A lot of jobs, you have some latitude to do what you want. Our procurement officer is Sandra Rodriguez. She has nowhere to go except it's either right or it's wrong. And she makes sure that we follow all the rules that are necessary. We have secondary checks and balances within our system. So finance will do one thing, but they cannot check their work. So maybe Sandra will check the work and make sure. And that way, people who are not related to both sides of an event
Sure.
aren't checking it to make sure it's right. And
Not to mention, you have the same people looking over the same thing for errors time and time. You tend to get a little nose blind to it a little bit, if that makes sense.
That's right. But anyway, I really respect people that know all those rules and can quote that, the statutes that are required for, no, you have to purchase this way and you have to advertise this way, or up to this dollar amount, you can do this. And it's just pretty amazing that they know so much about that. So
They're the dotters of the I's and crossers of the T's.
yeah. and frankly, often they're not the most popular person because I want to do this. I want to get going. I want to get moving.
Well, they got to be
we
definite
have
and
to
finite
follow
with
those
people.
rules.
Yeah,
Right.
They don't have the luxury of, we can do this. No. It's this way or it's not happening.
Yeah. Or
and then to make you understand that, people like, well, gee, they're now outworking.
Right.
It's not about that. It's about they're working with you to tell you it's not going to fly unless you do this.
And let's find the most streamlined method to do it. There may be 2 or 3 ways to do it.
Yeah.
But they're all going to be clearly what's acceptable and not deviate from that. And so we're very lucky that we have that ability here at Chaves County. So.
Yeah. Well, in theory, that's how all our municipalities and government should be operating.
In theory.
In theory. All right. Well, yesterday the Chaves County Commission meeting met as they do the third Thursday of the month, which is always open to the public, and even the county's getting more high tech, so you can kind of watch the proceedings on their Facebook page as well, too. So if you can't be out at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, you can watch it online while you're at the office or whatever.
So that's a perfect segue into a couple of things I need to talk about. So yesterday, the local economic development office, Mike Espiritu, came and talked to us, told us about things that are developing around the county, jobs bringers that they've been working on getting here. And we talked about the Ascent project. And he also has a new company that's similar to Ascent that's looking hard at Roswell. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
But back to the Ascent thing. So one of our agenda items was permission to publish for a public hearing.
Okay.
In order to get the LEDA money, which is the local economic development money that is going through Chaves County, but going to the Ascent project at the airport, because they're building that to, it's a huge job provider in our community.
Absolutely,
and
yeah,
we've
yeah.
all been working really hard on that.
Well, any
And-
growth
and-
out at the airport's a good thing for all of us.
And like I say, the Economic Development Corporation, Roswell Chaves County Economic Development Corporation, has done a tremendous amount of work making sure that happens. Potentially is going to be about 350 jobs, or not potentially. It's going to get to that. It'll take a couple of years, but it starts out with 100 jobs that are good paying jobs.
Sure.
And that's part of the reason for the LEDA is they're not just entry level jobs at this. These are jobs that pay more. These are in the aviation industry, and
these are career type opportunities.
Yes, really good. And so the LEDA money comes through and gets passed through to the Ascent. In this case, it's going to be a lease abatement kind of thing. We don't give them the cash, but they say we spent this much money in our building, so we are entitled to get
a break
a
on
percentage of that back. Yeah,
makes sense.
over a period of years. It
Happens
doesn't
all the
happen
time in that world. Yeah.
Right. And like I say, the benefit to our community is that we get 350 jobs. And this money is coming from Santa Fe. So, I mean, we've all worked really hard to make sure that state money is used to bring these jobs into Chaves County and Roswell. But the permission to publish, we have to have a public hearing. I have to pass an ordinance for this. And for an ordinance, you have to have a public hearing. And just like you said, people can watch online, be sure and come down. So I got permission to publish, which just means I have to advertise it in the newspaper prior to the event so everyone knows that there's a public hearing. But
come down, legal notice.
Come down and listen to the hearing on that.
Absolutely.
Another thing that we're going to be doing next week, it's unusual, it happens from time to time, but we are having a joint meeting with the city council and the Chaves County Commission. And we're doing that on Tuesday at the airport at fire station number 4. I hope I don't get the fire station number wrong, but I'm 99% sure it's fire station number 4. It's the one at the airport.
Yes.
So we're going to meet there. And the reason for it is we want to pass a resolution talking about how we're going to mutually work together. I want to really thank Counselor Jason Perry, who's worked very hard on this. Parker Patterson, the city attorney, has worked really hard on this.
They've been the liaisons between county and city.
Right.
Yeah.
They've worked really hard on getting this resolution ready. And then, like I told them, we have to have our own resolution because our resolution number is different. We're not going to say anything different in it, but so now the resolution has 2 numbers.
But for clerical reasons, it's a different number or something here. Yeah.
But so our only purpose originally for going to that meeting was we were going to pass this resolution jointly telling the state that we're all about anything that you can provide to assist the airport.
Gotcha.
Chaves County has been working on an infrastructure project taking water and sewer to the southeast corner of the base. The city has been working on a lot of projects with the doghouse, and kudos to them. They got a large grant. I think it was almost $2.8 million from Ben Ray Lujan's office. Yeah. And that was a great thing. They did a great presentation and really got the message out and did a good job of obtaining that money. And it was strictly because of the presentation they did. It was wonderful. They did a great job. But we're doing this, and then we were going to leave the meeting. The city has 2 or 3 other items they said that they're going to cover, but we decided that we also need to do a permission to publish, which is a very simple thing. I just asked them, hey, we need to publish for this public hearing. And so on Tuesday, we're going to pass the resolution, which is the main reason that we're all going to the airport. And then when the county breaks away from that, we're going to do one more business item, and that is a permission to publish. This is kind of convoluted. I'm trying to make sure I keep it right in my head. It's not convoluted. It's just has to be done a certain way.
It's meticulous.
And the permission to publish will be for a public hearing, which will happen on November the 9th. On November the 9th, we already have a commission meeting planned to canvass the election. So we want to add one more item on that, and that's a public hearing to discuss redistricting within how it affects our county.
Absolutely.
And you have to have a public hearing for that. There's a very stringent timeline on the redistricting plans and having it all submitted to the state and how it's going to change depending on where population has moved in the last 10 years. It's all tied to the census.
Sure.
The numbers were supposed to be to us in like July, I think. Well, we just got the numbers at the very end of September.
Yeah, it's been all delayed.
And we have to have it completed by December 31st, which means we have to have a public hearing. And then we have to have a regular hearing where they make the decisions on what the final thing is. And then assuming that it's not contested and doesn't go to court or whatever, then it goes, gets approved.
Yeah.
And then 30 days after approval, because again, it's an ordinance, it doesn't just happen right
Sure.
away.
Everything's glacial.
Then 30 days is when it takes effect. We have to have it done by December 31st. So you can see our timeline is very critical on this. So
they didn't give you much room to wiggle
so
on this one.
we want to invite everyone again on November the 9th, and the meeting will start at 9 o'clock in the mornings to canvass the election. But then immediately following that, we will have a public hearing about redistricting. So if anyone has any ideas about, well, I'd like to see the line go from 2nd and Union to Union and 19th, and I don't even know if that district is one of the ones that would be changed or not.
You're just making up some information here to
just
get
making it
people
up to
understand.
get the point. And so that's when you come in and tell us, I would like to see the line moved here, or I would like to see this area of this precinct changed so that it matches better. And it's a complicated process, but we need public input. We're required to have public input.
Yeah, but that public input's important because that gives them all the variables. Like if they make a decision, but don't, obviously the commission can't be on every single street and every single, you know what I mean?
Right.
So so people that live in that area know way better on that. So your input is very valuable. On that
and the idea too is to keep it fair.
Absolutely.
We don't want one area that there's no way one party can ever lose or one party could ever win in an area. So you try to keep the population based on the voters so that it's a fair thing.
And people may have seen in the news, statewide here when they're talking about district lines and things. And I think there's 3 different proposals they're looking at right now. And one of them is pretty off kilter that people are raising some flags about.
Congressional District 2, where the South Valley of Albuquerque then becomes part of our congressional district.
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole lot more people there that have a whole lot different values than us rural agricultural community.
They don't represent us.
They don't represent us, but it was clearly, well, in my opinion, it's clearly gerrymandering where they're just trying to stack the
deck. Absolutely.
Stack the deck.
And in this state, does that surprise anybody?
And
does not.
That's, I think, been taken off the table. I hope it's been taken off the table.
Good.
It needs to be taken off the table. There were several options, and we felt like, well, this just makes a minor change to make up for the difference in population or where people have moved, and those things are necessary, and and we have to do those. But to change the entire makeup so that we no longer have a voice in this part of the state, which is kind of what that appeared to be.
Blatant tampering right there.
Right.
That's all that is.
And so that's why we have these meetings, public meetings, so that people can have the input. They can say, wait a minute, hold on, that's not what it should be. Or you guys haven't thought about moving the line to here because that would take care of all these other problems.
Yeah.
And people are smart and we want to invite them. And
I ain't going to lie. Government operations, logic isn't always the number one priority there. I'm just telling you, because you scratch your head sometimes. I get it. Even the people in government are like, I don't know why we're doing that either. It just, that's what happened. That does happen from time to time. So please, this is that opportunity he's talking about. Get out there and share your constructive information there.
And of course, it goes right along with the canvassing of the vote, because that's the reason they have redistricting. That's harder to say than I thought it was. That's the reason we do it is because we want to make sure elections are fair. So come out, find out who won the election, what the official results are, and why the official results, and if there was a write-in or if there was one disqualified. They tell you all that stuff during the canvassing. It's really kind of fascinating.
Yeah. So that'll be a busy meeting on the 9th, you said?
Yes, the 9th, November the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And so come out. They'll go over the election results. They'll tally. They sometimes have to open certain ones right there in front of the public. There's a whole lot of procedure goes into that as well.
Absolutely.
And then right after that, then we'll go into the public hearing. So if anyone wants to discuss the redistricting, we will take that into advisement. We'll get that all ready to go for the November meeting, the regularly scheduled meeting, so that once it's passed, we have the 30 days necessary to get it in place before December 31st.
Absolutely.
So come on out.
Come on out. And then don't forget, early voting is underway now.
Yes.
All of that. Go to the clerk's office. I think the mall's now officially
The clerk's office, the mall.
Yeah.
I believe there's a precinct in Hagerman.
Yep.
I don't think the Dexter one is open till Election Day.
Yeah. And then of course on Election Day there's going to be like 12 different polling locations.
Yeah, they have a lot of different polling
throughout
locations throughout the community.
County. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lake Arthur's got one,
Right.
Hagerman, Dexter, and then there's several smattered north and south
Right.
of through Roswell.
I believe East Grand Plains School has one.
A lot of the same characters there. You might see one or two different ones, but
Right.
for the most part, if you voted at a voting convenience center last time you voted, odds are pretty good that's going to be another location.
Or 5 years ago when you voted, odds are pretty good it's going to be the same. We have had a few minor changes to those, but generally we try to keep them the same so that
Sure.
people know where they're going. But sometimes, for whatever reason, a better place
Logistics
turns
happen,
up,
yeah.
or a
Availability
place that's more
doesn't come
accessible to the public, or if something's being remodeled, which has happened to us before.
Sure.
We had to
Churches,
remove
schools,
that one.
they've got their own
Right.
businesses and things to do too.
But
so.
it's real easy to find out where you need to go to vote. Just
Yeah.
call the clerk's office; they'll let you know.
And don't forget, it's convenience center. So if
Right.
you can vote anywhere in Chaves County.
Yeah.
At any you don't have to vote where the one that's near your house.
Yeah.
If you live here and work in Lake Arthur or vice versa, on your lunch break you can go hit the Lake Arthur one and vote,
Right.
or vice versa. You know,
Right.
it's anywhere in the county you can vote in this upcoming election here.
right.
So and then I know some people are going to have more important ballots than others, depending on where you live and your school districts and all that stuff. Unfortunately, this is the not as sexy, prominent election time than a presidential or something
Yeah.
would be. But
This is not one of those fun ones where you get to drain the swamp. I mean, you know,
But-
this is business.
nevertheless, the school board and some of these other
it absolutely makes a difference.
ordinances and things you're going to be voting on in this ballot, which if you go call the clerk's office, I don't have it off the top of my head, but there's a website you can go. They'll be happy to tell you it.
Yes.
You can look up your voting information. You can see a sample ballot. You can even see your voting history in New Mexico. Like if every time you voted and who you voted for, as long as you're in New Mexico, if you come from another state, it won't have those. But all your New Mexico votes, and it'll tell you
Wow.
your districts, who your representatives are, your all
I
of
didn't
that
know
stuff.
that. I'm going to go check it out.
It's
That sounds really,
I wish
really
if
informational.
I dig around in my paperwork, it's here, but I'll go dig it up here in a break. And
Well, fortunately, I know the clerk. And I'll ask her, what is that? No,
yeah, it's on the brochures and
that's
everything else
really
there.
cool. No, I've never checked that out. That
Yeah.
sounds really good.
It'll tell you your districts, your voting history. It give you a copy of your sample. It's all the information you need to know about voting. It's got there for you. It's a very useful tool.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's great. Well, we had, I guess I better get on to this agenda real quick. We had our talk from Mike Espiritu from
Okay.
the Roswell Chaves County
EDC.
Economic Development Corporation. Like I say, we talked about a job fair that took place, not a job fair, a
Hiring event.
hiring workshop
Mhm.
that they put on last night. We had one of our people attend that to see ways that we can, or find ways that we can do a better job of hiring, filling positions. Talked about technical trades and the NCCR, and I didn't get what that acronym stands for, but in the Valley schools, they're going to do the NCCR technical trades. When a person graduates from one of those schools that has that,
Okay.
they can actually have certification upon graduation for different things, whether it's welding or
Nice.
or
So they're
mechanics or whatever. But it's
when
the
they're done, the
technical.
ticket's written, and it's,
Right.
the world's their oyster at that point.
Right. And
Yeah.
and as we all know, this day and age, technical jobs are getting to be
If you're not-
good paying jobs.
If you're not working in the technical world right now, it's because you don't want to.
Right. Yeah, because you can absolutely get a job.
Yeah.
So, and then we also talked with the Roswell Chamber of Commerce. She came in, gave us a great talk. She was very proud that they got a new employee that has a copywriting degree, helping them to streamline their magazine.
Okay. Yeah.
Eddie Macias came in and helped them with their mural on the east side of the building. They're partnering with the Life in Sports. It's a new newspaper in our community. They've been working hard, as they always do, on so many different topics. I just try to write down the high points. I mean, I could have 3 pages worth of stuff that's done by the chamber. They really do a good job of reaching out, not only to the city of Roswell, but throughout the entire county. And
It's a
find
it's,
ways to make this a better place.
It is the Roswell Chamber, but
really thank them for that.
they
So,
could almost rename it the Chaves County Chamber, because they support and
Right.
and really all businesses, but they really look at their umbrella as Chaves County, not
Right.
just Roswell.
And then our treasurer came in and she talked about a few things pertaining to the accounts that they collect for the county. And the takeaway from that was the property sale, that we generally have a property sale every year. The state comes in, they take properties that have not paid their taxes. They do all the research. They contact the people, give them every opportunity to pay the taxes. But they have to be delinquent for a significant time. And then they put them up for sale, usually just a small amount of properties in the county. They haven't done that for a couple of years because of COVID. And this year they came in, they did all the work, the legwork, got everything ready to go, or ready to have the sale, and then the state canceled it at the last minute. So we're not having another sale. But that was the takeaway for her. Then Georgiana Hunt, who is our what is her position? It's a grant writer.
Okay.
I don't know what her technical title is, but she writes the grants. For
unofficially, it keeps us out of trouble.
Right.
That's her title.
She finds money for the county and fills out all the paperwork to help us to ask for it, to beg for it, whatever you want to call it. But she does a great job of that. And of course, she has other duties too. But
sure,
she came in and she asked that we ratify. I think there were 9 different agreements. The first 6 were for aging and long-term services. 6 agreements totaled $701,395, and that was all for aging and long-term services throughout Chaves County.
Okay.
So the Joy Centers and those type of things, several parking lot redos, some vehicles they need to take senior citizens to events,
appointments and things. Yeah.
So that's really amazing that these other entities have worked with her and through the finance office at Chaves County and came up with $701,000.
Awesome.
$395 to assist
and every penny
aging
is
and long term, and every penny is needed. And they work really hard. Monica at the Joy Centers, she is constantly trying to find ways they can get more money. They, of course, have to report and comply and all that stuff, and they get the information to Georgiana, who helps them get it in the system. And they usually do a very good job of coming up with money.
Sure. They have to get
things.
creative over there. There's no lie. They work magic on making more with less and doing it with the same government red tape that's going on.
Right.
That not only do they have to make less or more, but then they got to deal with the bureaucracy that is government and to make it happen. And it's hard enough to do that on your own in a private sector, but doing it when you got government red tape handicapping you a bit, it's even harder. So
government red tape's always a fun thing.
They're wizards over there. They really are.
So then the other 3 agreements that she brought before us were for a total of $1,150,000, and those were from New Mexico Department of Finance. Those 3 agreements, and all of those were for projects that Chaves County has obtained legislative capital outlay for. So another $1.1 million for projects there at the county. So again, we're very proud that we've got that. And we're very thankful to our legislators that always keep us, in the forefront.
Fight the good fight.
They have a limited amount of money that they're allowed to help out different communities, and our legislators really do a good job helping us.
Sure.
So we thank them.
And let's face it, in the world they live in too, the influence is kind of limited too on what they,
right.
I mean, they're in the minority party right now, and has been forever. Right. And so every time for them to get anything done, it's an uphill battle.
Well, they fight tooth and nail for our communities.
Absolutely.
And give them a call, your senators, your state representatives, and tell them thanks for.
And see if you can talk to your friends in other counties up north, and see if you can get them some help in their districts.
Yeah. Or send the money down here. Either way works. So. We also approved a lease for a motor grader. We, constantly have to have new equipment at the road yard, but we don't want to buy millions of dollars worth of equipment all at one time.
Sure.
So we space it out, and we've gone to where we lease equipment a lot more because the technology changes so fast that oftentimes by the end of a purchase period,
it's obsolete
and the computer's out. And so you have a problem, but we do have a lease with the purchase to buy on most of these items. And so at the end of the lease, we can actually pick them up. If that one turned out to be a really good machine and it still has a lot of life in it. You know,
Sure.
there's a lot of
The
variables that
juice
come
is
into
worth the
play.
squeeze there. Yeah.
And so we always try to do those things. Again, that's the procurement department.
Sure.
You know, they go
Well,
through all this and make sure.
And it's done that way to give you guys options down the road.
Right.
It doesn't cement you in with either this lemon or this thing. If it turns out it's not what you needed, then you can get out of it pretty easy. But if it's something that, you know what, turns out to be a valuable thing that we can't live without, then we can buy this
Right.
sucker. You know, and it keeps your options open for a little longer.
And I thought I wrote the dollar amount down for the lease of a motor grader. I didn't write it down. I know that we get a substantial savings from what a contractor, whatever, would the government contracts that are in place through large companies. This happened to be a John Deere motor grader, 770, I believe is what we picked up this time. And we bought Cat in the past. We bought a Volvo loader a few months ago. But we get such a reduction off the price. It's really amazing in the first place. But we make that equipment last. The road department does a great job maintaining it. We've got a full shop there. They maintain everything.
Sure.
So if one ever comes up on an auction, that's probably where you want to buy it because it's been maintained better than than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I was in the military, you know, we work on aircrafts, and you want to talk about the maintenance records and the meticulousness of that stuff. Anytime someone breathes on that thing, it's annotated. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're that stringent in the county, but it's
No.
probably not far from it.
No, and like you say, the military, they rebuild it from the ground up. When
Yeah.
they do it, there's not a piece that's left that hasn't been looked at.
Exactly.
And we don't go that far.
But it's the
we
same
take,
philosophy.
We do take good care of our equipment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something kind of interesting. We did 2 provider agreements for 2 ambulance services. AMR, which is our new ambulance service here in Roswell. We used to have Superior Ambulance, and now we have American Medical Response Ambulance. They are the new provider for Roswell, Chaves County. You know, we
Gotcha.
work together on this as a community project.
Sure.
So they're our new
It's
provider.
shared services.
And we also have Trans Aero Medevac is now the air ambulance in Chaves County.
That's the helicopter folks.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so we have to have a provider agreement with them for indigent health care. We have our indigent health care that is administered by the county. So if they were to pick someone up in the ambulance, take them to the hospital, incur cost, and the person is indigent, can't pay it, we work those details out ahead of time. So, you know, if it's an indigent person, bring that to us. You're a provider. We're going to cover it at whatever percentage we can cover it at, or at the Medicare rate or whatever it is. And I don't know those details because there's a whole lot of information that they do as well. And that's Jeff Ortega. If anybody knows Jeff, tell him you're doing a great job there. He knows so much about that. It's pretty amazing. Helps a lot of people out in our community. So we did those 2 agreements to make them providers for indigent health care.
Cement that deal.
But we also, American Medical Response has got one office, or whatever you want to call it, an ambulance station up on Country Club, I guess, behind the Zen.
Okay.
It used to be, it wasn't 3C Meats. Anyway, there used to be a meat packer there, and they've converted it to an ambulance place
I know
years
what you're
ago.
talking about. Yeah.
And then they have a second office, or whatever you want to call it, over kitty corner from the police station on Richardson.
Okay.
But they've determined that, you know, especially during rush hour, if you want to call that in Roswell, it seems like all day long in Roswell on Main Street can be rush hour anymore.
Sure. Well, definitely lunchtime.
But it's very difficult to get south of McGaffey. If you happen to be north, and both of their stations are north of McGaffey, it's very difficult to get to the south side. Or if it's out in the county, down in the valley, and they need to respond, you know, minutes are precious when someone needs you. And so they came to us and said, we need to find a place where we can have ambulances and staff positioned south of McGaffey Street so that we can, take care of the south end of town. And kudos to them for doing that and thinking of that. And it's an additional expense on their part.
Sure.
But they're more than happy to do it so that they can provide what they've contracted with the city and the county to do.
Good deal.
So they came to us, and we actually have a complex of buildings that are just south of the Chaves County Administration Center, 1600 Southeast Main, Suite E. We lease to them.
Awesome.
And they'll be able to have people there 24 hours a day with their ambulance so they can get to those areas further south or down the
Excellent.
valley.
So better coverage now.
And
thanks
so
to
that was an interesting process,
Good.
working with them, and think that they're really going to be good for our community.
Good deal.
So,
Well, we got a minute left before. Is there anything in that minute that we need to make sure we let folks know about?
the one thing I want to tell everybody about is buy your used courthouse windows. If you go to govdeals.com, you can find the iconic Chaves County Courthouse dome windows that are available. There's also some other windows that are on the roof side. If you buy a Chaves County window, you will get a certificate of authenticity on the county letterhead. It'll be embossed with the seal of Chaves County. You can, for your provenance. So you can tell your friends, hey, look, I've got something that people have been talking about. You can reminisce about the courthouse. We should have some additional windows in the future as they continue to change out windows. But we do want to offer that opportunity to people. We didn't want to just throw them away because so many people are interested in them.
And there's value to them.
And you can buy them for a small price. They're not in great shape. I mean, that's why we're replacing them, especially
historical.
the dome windows. But they're historic. And like I said, they'll come with a letter saying that this is legit. This is the real deal. And
I think it would, if you don't want it for your personal home or none, I think it'd look great in doctor's offices or, your business offices. They've got like a, art display or something. That might be
in
great.
your shop, you might want something cool like that, or you might want to put a picture of the courthouse. But every
I think there's
every
a lot of potential there.
postcard, brochure, and everything for 100 years has shown these iconic windows on the, so you can show, hey, I've got one. And there's about 12 of them available off the dome.
All right.
I'm not sure of that number. They're not in great shape, but they are good.
They're not
for wall,
functional as windows probably anymore.
but they're good wall hangers. And we have a few off the third floor and should have some more. And then as this progresses, they're going to change out the arched windows on the front and first and second floor. So
nice.
So there'll be more windows available. So
awesome.
Get your windows, govdeals.com.
Very good. And maybe they make great Christmas gifts. Actually, they could, depending on your recipient.
It really could.
Someone who's not into that thing may not appreciate it.
There may only be 6 of us in town that are really crazy enough to buy an old junk window. But I intend to try to get mine. So.
All right. Well, to those 6 people, to the wives of those 6 people, please let this happen. I know you're going to be like, that's ridiculous. Why you have that thing? But it's worth it. Trust me.
It is.
Well, thank you, Bill, as
Thank
always.
you.
We'll see you next time. Okay.